Welcome to the EOB Podcast, where we talk about the weekend box office and the new openings this week. I'm Benno, and joining me is Sen Duong. So, Sen, as we know, it was a pretty quiet weekend with only the action comedy, getting started, starring Morgan Freeman, Tommy Lee Jones, Renee Russo, and Jane Seymour, and others, opening over the weekend. So pretty quiet.
Yeah, with a wide release.
With a wide release, but not a wide box office take, I guess. Not even the
Yeah.
opening.
Although we left out the disaster artist last week.
Yeah, but that wasn't.
Well, we opened semi-wide at like 840 theaters.
Oh, okay. We can talk about that. By mentioning because it didn't really make a blip on the box office chart.
Well,
Actually, it did. It did. It
did
actually
pretty
came
well.
in. Yeah, it actually came in number
Yeah,
four.
yeah,
Okay.
number
Yeah.
four on it
All right.
on just 840 screens.
Right. It expanded. Expanded.
Yeah, the theater average is by far the highest of any film in the top 10.
Right. Which is not saying a lot given what is in theaters and how the big movies have been released a couple weeks already.
Yeah,
But
have been out for weeks already.
all right. Let's get on to it since we are in December, also known as a time for family get-togethers to watch Star Wars movies, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a Star Wars movie every year, every Thanksgiving, every Christmas now. It's a Christmas tradition now. It's no longer Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the
It's
Jedi is a new religion, right?
it's a Jedi. Yeah,
Yeah, so this get together and watching Star Wars movies is going to be the new thing to do holiday.
yeah, right. It's the new holiday. Yeah.
Right. Forget about Christmas. Christmas is left for people who to buy stuff. All right. How about we get this going? Let's jump into the box office. As expected, Coco came in number one, which is the new Pixar movie about the Mexican holiday Day of the Dead.
Hmm.
It pulled in about 18 million in its third weekend, and domestic gross is about 135 million.
Right. And the international gross is at 390 so far, which is actually pretty high for a Pixar movie in just the first couple weeks of release in the foreign markets, because a lot of the times they don't release their films day and date. They don't release it everywhere at the same time. They kind of have a slow rollout. Main reason why it's doing so well overseas is because it's doing really well in China.
Of course, the China is always the territory that throws everything off. I mean, it could
Right,
help a movie that failed everywhere else, and it could
right,
just
right,
turn a
right,
profit over there alone.
right. And this year, surprisingly, this is finally, Pixar finally has a film that sticks in China. Their previous films, maybe with the exception of Toy Story 3, but even that didn't do monster business in China. But they finally have Coco. It grows over 100 million so far in China, and word of mouth is still strong, and it could eventually maybe even get to the 200 million mark in China.
Yeah, well, I don't have any way to confirm this, but I think that China finally caught up to Pixar because of Lee Unkrich. He's the director.
Mm.
He directed previous movies such as Toy Story 2, Monster Inc., Finding Nemo, even Toy Story 3. Maybe China, the populace there, finally got a chance to catch up to those movies, and they probably heavily advertised saying, "Hey, this is from the same guy who did those movies."
I doubt it.
Maybe, maybe. That's what I'm saying.
Let's
It's
go
just
with
maybe.
yes, yeah. Let's go with your theory from a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was my theory. It's just they finally have a film that the Chinese audience can relate to, which is the celebrating Day of the Dead. It's actually surprisingly the culture is surprisingly similar. In Chinese culture, you have pictures of your great grandparents, and you have food that you put in on display to send to the other side. When a relative pass away, there's a bridge that they cross to the other side. All these things are in the film Coco. It's finally a film that relates to the Chinese audience, and the fact that it's a well-made film and it's very touching, and it celebrates the dead the same way that Chinese people celebrate the dead. they finally have a film that the Chinese audience can embrace
Well, sure, but I'm saying don't
and relate
discount
to.
that. Yeah, don't. But that could be it too. But don't discount the other theory. It's about the populace of getting finally catching up. Because with the other animation movies by Disney slash Pixar,
I disagree. I'm not
doing
sure.
well.
You don't suddenly catch up.
Well, it took a
Know
couple
what I
of
mean?
years, but
Yeah.
still.
Well, but the thing is, if it finally catch up, you will see a slow increase in the audience. Like you should see a Pixar movie making maybe 30 million, then 50 million, then 70 million. You don't. But there's none of that. Pixar's films, they'll do 10 million, 20 million, 10 million, maybe Toy Story 3, maybe 30 million, and then the next Pixar movie 20 million.
Well, what I'm saying is keep an eye out for the next Pixar movies, and
Yeah, you can definitely keep now because now they can finally say from the makers of Coco.
right? Yeah.
Because
that's
the other
right.
the other Pixar films didn't really stuck with the Chinese audience. They couldn't. It's not the kind of film that they could relate to. A lot of it is because of the way Pixar movies are written and made. It's kind of hard to translate their witty dialogue. Smart humor is always difficult to translate.
All right. We have two things
Yeah.
going on, but they both could be
Yeah.
right. I think both could be right too.
I mean, yeah, the Pixar is a great brand, but it is right here and abroad, but for some reason not China. Because other animated films from other studios have done pretty well. They make 100 million or more,
Right.
or
Okay.
close to it.
Yeah, I just want to mention the low drop off over the weekend as well, about 34% drop off from the previous week. So hey, it's still hanging in there.
Yeah. According to Box Office Mojo, it's following the same trajectory of Moana last year.
Yeah.
It was number one for 3 straight weeks before a Star Wars movie came out and took over.
Sure.
Last year it was Rogue One, and this year, of course, is going to be The Last Jedi.
Oh yeah, Rogue One was the previous movie. Okay.
Yeah.
Forgot about that one.
Yeah. So yeah. And surprising you forget about when a movie makes 500 million, and that in the relative terms, Star Wars terms, that's not much anymore.
Sure.
Right?
No, I guess it's because the new one coming out is it Force Awakens?
Well, Rogue One is more of a spin-off.
Right.
And this one follows the main story.
Right. Hey, what's the new Star Wars movie coming out? What's the name?
The Last Jedi.
Oh yeah, Last Jedi. Okay, so the Last Jedi, because the Last Jedi is the main line, and then that's why we forget about it. We recall the last one, and which is the Force Awakens. So that's why we forget about Rogue One. Okay, all right. So anyway, Coco is hanging on, following the same trajectory as Moana. Doing well domestically, doing well overseas. So hey, I guess this week I wouldn't say a return. Pixar has been consistent, right?
They've been inconsistent.
There were some dips, but in general they were consistent.
Good Dinosaur.
Yeah.
Cars 3.
Yeah. Always get a laugh out of that one.
But this one is bringing them back to Inside Out.
Yeah, more
theory.
original stories. I guess more original stories and more with mainstream appeal. Instead of the sequels that I'm sure Disney saddled them with.
Right. Well, at least they're making them well. I mean, with the exception of Cars 3. Cars 3 throws everything off.
Well,
the Cars franchise throws everything off.
Yeah, we said that was a special case, but anyway.
Yeah.
All right, how about you bring us in number 2?
Number 2 is Justice League. It pulled in 9.6 million over the weekend. Holding on a little bit better, 42% drop off. But compared to the rest of the films in the top 10, it's still experienced the worst drop off of all of them. Most films are dropping off between 20 to 30%. Justice League is 42%. It grossed 212 million so far domestically, and worldwide is at about 600 million, I think. Yeah, 613 million. It'll probably get to 700 million.
You think it will?
I don't know. At this rate, it's gonna be tough. At this rate, it could.
I don't know. Who knows? I don't know, because it's turning out to be the lowest domestic grossing DC movie right? And
I think domestically, you'll probably, with the holiday season, it can still probably make like 40-50 million more.
you think so?
Maybe.
No, even if it made that, it still couldn't beat Man of Steel's 291. So it's
not domestically.
Yeah, domestically.
I'm not saying internationally. Let's see how much it did. You know what?
I think,
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, probably not seven. Yeah, probably not. But they'll probably, maybe they'll probably it can get close to it. Maybe 670, 680, but probably not 700 worldwide. Because it still did 15 million overseas last weekend.
Sure, but you don't know if he'll beat out Man of Steel worldwide. I mean, Man of Steel is 668, right? 668 million. Maybe because like we said that there's a Star Wars movie coming out and it could take a chunk out from there.
That's true.
That's true. We don't know. I mean, it has slowed down, and it's not.
And of any film in the top 10, Star Wars will take a chunk of its audience. It's the film that could be affected the most.
Right.
So the drop off, you're right. The drop off this weekend could be really bad for Justice League. So you're right. Maybe it might not even be the Man of Steel worldwide.
Yeah. So seriously, Justice League or Justice League 2, aka it's the lowest DC movie, and we said that the bad reviews, I guess bad filmmaking, maybe has finally caught up.
Yeah, the bad reviews, the word of mouth,
the disappointment,
kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
The reviews weren't that well. Actually, you know what? Batman v Superman was in the 30% range.
It was pretty bad. Let's see.
Yeah. So the poor reviews, disappointing word of mouth. Like we said previously, eventually caught up to the brand.
Yeah, so I guess people already, I mean, with Batman v Superman, people already seen what they wanted to see. The face-off between Batman versus Superman, and it was a letdown.
Yeah.
Right. It was a letdown, and because how silly it was, how it resolved itself.
Yeah, right.
So and then the Justice League came along and said, oh, they already got together, and now they're I guess Ben Affleck and Wonder Woman, even though Wonder Woman did well in her respective movie, right? But maybe in Justice League, she's not enough to carry it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The future, I think one of the president of DC movies or whoever is in charge of DC films in WB just resigned. Well, he said he wants to produce movies rather than being in charge, but I'm sure they kind of pushed him out.
Spend time with family, right?
Yeah, he's gotta
yeah, those things. Well, here's the thing, right? I think, is it Batgirl? It's one of the movies.
Yeah.
Gonna be directed by Josh
Whedon.
And I don't think that movie's gonna if it's gonna be a high budget movie, I don't think that movie's gonna be that appealing. Like she's not that huge of a character.
Yeah, but you never know though. I mean, look at Marvel. They're able to bring their second tier, third tier characters and turn them into huge successes. And if anyone can do it with a brand like Batgirl, is Josh Whedon. But it depends. It also depends on how people react to his controversial affair, or his personal life controversy. Him cheating on his wife and for 15 years or something. So
yeah, I don't think that figures that much in it anyway. But Whedon directed the Avengers, right? He knows how to handle superhero movies, and he is also the creator of the Buffy TV series. So in a sense, Batgirl, Buffy kind of have like strong female character. So
his films tend to have strong female characters. But that controversy of him, he's online he's always been pro woman's rights and all that. But then what he did in his personal life is kind of hypocritical, because he's pro woman, but then he had an affair and with someone who worked for him, and for like 15 or so years, and his fan base didn't react too well to that. And
Well,
as we've seen with Mel Gibson or Johnny Depp, this public perception that people have of them can affect their commercial appeal.
I think directors less than the people than actors. So
That
because
is true because they're more behind the scenes.
yeah,
And,
yeah. Remember the affair with who's that? Snow White and
yeah. Snow White and the Huntsman.
yeah, Snow White with Huntsman. The who's that star? I forgot now.
That's what happens when you're over 40.
Oh yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
Right.
I want to
right,
help
no,
you,
no.
but my brain is
Okay,
just
let's okay. Robert Sanders and Kristen Stewart. So those two.
Yeah, right.
So it affected Kristen Stewart's career, right? But Robert Sanders is still
No,
doing
I don't
stuff.
know. No
You know?
one turned out for. No one cared for the sequel, which he didn't direct it. But no one turned out for Ghost in the Shell. But that's probably due to the film rather
Yes,
than him.
yes,
So we're not sure.
yeah.
If he would have hit it out of the park with Ghost in the Shell, then we can say, oh, it didn't affect him. But the way that it turned out, we're not. The jury is still out.
It-
But I agree, though, the directors are probably not affected as much as the people in front of the camera.
Right. Well, we'll have to see, but he has a strong track record for this type of movie, so it might surprise. Like we said previously, the common theme for these movies is really Zack Snyder, and if he's not involved, it seems to do well. Those movies.
Right. Feel bad for him. Hey, with the right kind of films, it can work for him.
No. It's just that he's been saddled with this responsibility that I don't think one person can handle.
Well, the main thing with Zack Snyder, he's more of a visual director. Storytelling is not his strong suit.
Yeah.
So as long as like the films that like 300, like you said, or what's the other one, Watchmen. As long as he's not the guy, putting the story together, it'll probably work better.
Yeah, but he is.
We don't know. Yeah.
So
But who knows? Maybe eventually later you'll find the right project and you'll surprise everyone.
I mean, all these directors, right? They have this rise, right, and then they have this fall,
Yeah,
and then they
yeah.
started directing all these smaller movies, and
Yeah.
that's where they hone their craft, right? Is where they can take more risk with the smaller budget that they have.
Yeah, unless they're James Cameron or Steven Spielberg, who constantly turns out great stuff.
Right, but those are the exceptions, right?
Yeah, they are the exceptions.
They were born
Right.
great, for example. Right?
Yeah.
So, but for the mere mortals, they have to earn their due, right?
Yeah. Well, we speak of them as like the disaster artists. It's very hard to make it in this industry. And if you made it and you found success, you're like 1% of 1%. You're already successful if you're in the industry.
Yeah, and it's not
Yeah.
cheap to do this
Yeah.
stuff. You have to have a lot of involvement. I mean, a lot of money, a lot of people. So,
Yeah.
it's hard to get started in this industry too.
Yeah. So if you made it, you're already the best of the best of the best.
Right. The 1%,
Yeah.
as we say.
Yeah. 1% of 1% or whatever.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's move along. To number 3 is the feel-good movie Wonder, based on a book, I believe, starring Julia Roberts and Owen Wilson. It pulled in about 8.5 million. Over the weekend, drop-off is pretty low too, about 30%. And it's quietly crossed 100 million.
Hmm. At this way, it can eventually probably get to 150, if not more.
Yeah. So it's a quiet movie. You don't hear a lot about it. It's not a movie that people say, "Oh, I want to watch that movie." But apparently, a lot of people like to watch this movie. And there's one thing I want to point out is that I never expect Julia Roberts and Owen Wilson to be in a movie together and playing husband and wife.
Yeah. All right, and here they are, and it's hugely successful.
Right, it worked out.
Well, I never expect like Julia Roberts to work in a Lionsgate film.
Well,
You know, because those guys are popular for Jason Statham movies.
Well, they're actually quite
They make other
diverse, but
films, yeah. They're
yeah.
more diverse now, yeah. But that was their bread and butter.
Right. I mean, you do the movies to make payment, and
Right.
you can use that to make other movies. All right, you bring us in number 4.
Yeah, and number 4 is the Disaster Artist, pulled in 6.4 million over the weekend. It expanded from a few theaters to 840 theaters. The per screen average is about 7,700, which is the highest of all the films in the top 10. So it's going pretty well. The Disaster Artist is very well reviewed film, 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's kind of like a movie version of the documentary American movie. This is about real people too.
Yeah,
It's about
it's kind of like a docu-drama,
yeah, and it's just like American movie. American movie was a documentary. It's about this one guy who has aspirations to make a movie, and they just aren't very good at it, but they have this will and this passion for it anyway, even though the talent and the skills not there. And the Disaster Artist, for some reason, he's able to pull it off. They eventually made a movie. It was really, really bad.
It's
But
called The
it's
Room. It's
found
called The Room, by the way. It's called The
yeah,
Room.
it's called The Room. Yeah, it's really, really bad. But it ended up getting a cult following, and it was playing to packed midnight audiences. And this film was based on a memoir by the sidekick, the director's friend, who was also in the movie, The Womb. So it's about the making of The Womb, and it's really funny.
Right. So it's directed by James Franco, starring James Franco.
Yeah,
Seth Rogen is in it, Dave Franco, Josh Hutcherson, Sharon Stone,
yeah,
Christian Bell, Alison Brie, Zac Efron. So, a couple friends getting together, really.
yeah. Pretty much the whole Judd Apatow gang is
Yeah,
in there,
yeah.
including Judd Apatow, who had a great cameo in the film. Most of the cameos are great.
So it's a well-reviewed kind of docudrama or docu-comedy. That's getting a wide release. And as you said, I guess off mic, this it has the highest predictor average of all the movies in the top 10.
And it's James Franco might be nominated. It's really hard to play his role, I feel like, and it could easily have become a caricature. But you connect with him, you feel for him, because he plays what's his name?
I think Tommy.
Yeah, Tommy, and his brain's kind of fried. You know, he looks like he does a lot of drugs, and it could easily have become one of these caricatures, but he played it so well that you care for him, you kind of root for him to succeed, and he eventually did succeed.
Right. So he found, I mean, the real person kind of found some fame, or infamy, if you will, with his movie The Room.
Yeah, it's one of those. It turned into one of those films that it's so bad it's good type of movie.
Yeah, kind of. They're laughing kind of along with him and at him at the same time.
Yeah, right.
I'm pretty sure that they won't be making another movie again.
Right? They all.
Well, I don't think it would find the same level of notoriety. I think because as you said, right, they're pretty terrible at filmmaking. So you can only do it so many times, and people say, okay, we've seen enough.
Well, you never know.
All right, okay.
You never know.
I will keep an eye out for the blockbuster directed by Tommy. What's his name?
Whistle, I think.
Okay.
Hey, who knows? His sidekick Greg might write another memoir about it, and James Franco will make the Disaster Artist Part 2. You never know.
Maybe, but probably won't find the same level of success unless he does something spectacular or spectacularly bad.
Spectacularly bad.
That it deserves.
Which he's pretty good at doing, so you never know. Right?
All right. Okay. All right. So something to keep in mind. All right.
Yeah.
Let's move along to number 5, Thor Ragnarok. Put in 6.3 million over the weekend. Drop off this weekend is actually pretty low. With the drop off of only 36%. Domestic gross is 301 million, and the worldwide is at 833 million.
Pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And let's move on to number 6. Daddy's Home 2 put in 6 million a weekend, still hanging in theaters. This comedy drop off is about 21%. It's getting nearing 100 million. Domestic gross is 91 million. And let's see, worldwide, what's it at? 142.
Yeah, so pretty solid. The drop off has been so low. Hey, it might have a chance to still get to 100, probably 110, 120. Who knows? If not even a little bit more. We're not even, and hey, it's not 150 like the first film, but it might get close. Not 150, but they'll get to 120, maybe 130, which will give them reason to do Daddy's Home 3.
I don't know if they will do another one, but as you say, the first Daddy's Home was probably kind of like a one-off concept, but they managed to pull out a sequel, and it did pretty well. I'm judging by the numbers.
Doing pretty well.
Yeah, judging by numbers, I don't think they will do a Daddy's Home 3 unless they drop the budget. But
no, I think if this can get to 120 million, they might do another one, because this is not a bad because this is not a bad drop off from first to second film.
Right, but you have like Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell, who are pretty busy people, so you need them to come together to make another one. So who knows when we'll get one, if or if the third movie.
I feel like if they did Daddy's Home 2, and if this continues to hold up as well, they'll probably go for a third one, because the first one wasn't exactly like, hey, let's make sequels.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, at number 7, Murder on the Orient Express put in 5 million over the weekend. Drop off is only 25%. It's at around 93 million domestically. It is surprisingly better than what people like us and the industry were expecting. No, not as surprising as Wonder, but worldwide is even better. Worldwide is at 274 million.
Yeah. A movie that kind of flew under the radar of everyone. I wasn't expecting big things out of this movie, but apparently this is one of those movies where throwing lots of stars at a movie works.
Yeah, right. A lot of it has to do with there's nothing quite like it, of all the films in the top 10. It's a murder mystery, and it's variety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's based on a book as well, and you could say it's a new adaptation or a remake of a movie, but in any case, it's the source material is there with the book. Okay, let's move along to number 8. The Star is the Sony animation nativity tale from the perspective of the animals. It pulled in about 3.7 million over the weekend. Drop off is around 10%. Hey, pretty low. But domestic gross is only about 32 million. The budget is 20, so it's doing okay. For a movie that doesn't have I don't know, big aspirations, I guess.
Yeah, the budget is only 20 million, so it doesn't have big aspirations, and it's doing surprisingly well. I don't think anyone was expecting anything out of this.
Well, I thought it could open higher since it is animation, and family movies or children movies or kind of popular.
Yeah, but it's not the kind of event animated films that we see from like Pixar or Illumination. It's like this $20 million movie who's just kind of like trying to get the Christian audience to turn out, and they did.
Okay, I had higher hope for this movie, but I guess it just doesn't have that wide of an appeal. I kind of liked it. I the trailer. It's kind of funny, but hey.
Okay, at number 9, Lady Bird put in 3.5 million over the weekend. After 6 weeks of platform release, it's already grossed 22 million. So it's doing pretty well for an indie film.
Yeah, once a movie. Well, anyway, not once a movie, but these these indie movies that has these platform release and making over I think 20 million. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That makes it kind of have reach a level of awareness that is kind of, I guess, mainstream in the indie sense.
Yeah, right.
So and as we said, look for Lady Bird to get some awards.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's top out the top 10 with new wide release last weekend. The comedy Just Getting Started. It opened to about 3.2 million over the weekend.
Our projections were way high, right?
Way high. Let's see what we got. I said 10 million and you said 8.
Right.
So it's no. It's because Morgan Freeman's previous movie, similar movie, Going in Style, had a 12 million.
Decently well.
Yeah, had a 12 million opening. We thought it could be around there, but we found out that I said people would pay to listen to Morgan Freeman read a phone book, but the question is how many times would they do that? And it seems like only once.
Maybe only once. Yeah.
So.
Or maybe just once a year or once every other year.
Maybe.
But not twice per year in such a short span.
Sure, but like these movies are starting to feel kind of lazy. Like with Going in Style kind of like, and Just Getting Started.
Yeah, I think people expect more things when they see all these Oscar caliber actors in the film.
Yeah,
they're expecting greater material, but it's not just these. Let's see these great actors together and have fun type of thing.
Right. So that I guess that's why the numbers are so low, because they expect more from these people.
And the reviews on that, the reviews are terrible. 90% on Rotten Tomatoes is probably one of the worst review films in Tommy Lee Jones's career. Probably one of the worst review films in Morgan Freeman's career.
But they don't care. They got their money. They got their paycheck.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it for the top 10. A movie of note is that I guess comedy or I, Tanya.
I don't think it's a comedy, right?
There's a box of mojo says a comedy. It could be a drama, right? Directed by Greg Gillespie, starring Margot Robbie as Tanya Harding. So it's kind of a documentary-like thing where people get interviewed from various time frames, I guess. It's getting some it made some noise. Has 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. So you might see this movie popped up on some best of lists, especially from the indie crowd. So something of note. I, Tanya.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is more of a humorous take on it.
Yeah. But it opened in four locations. It pulled in 245K for a per theater average of 61K.
Yeah, that's pretty high. That's kind of like same kind of numbers as the Disaster Artist.
Mm-hmm. So it's a movie to keep an eye out if you're into these kind of movies. All right. So that's it for the movies that are in theaters. How about we get to the new releases this weekend? We have 2. There's Ferdinand, the animation by Fox, and Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
All right. Let's start with Ferdinand, and then we'll get to Star Wars.
Okay, Ferdinand is a bull. I guess he's a peace-loving bull. But people or humans or whatever wants him to be the bull in the bullfighting ring.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. Isn't Ferdinand kind of like the bull in the WB animation?
I don't know. I think is this based on a children's book?
I have no idea, but isn't I thought?
Okay, inspired by the beloved book, The Story of Ferdinand.
Okay, all right. So it's based on book. I thought he was that bull that in the Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Oh, okay.
So I guess not.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's about, according to the trailer, a bull who was raised as a pet eventually grew too huge. He had a mishap, a misunderstanding, and the people turned against him and threw him into a zoo or whatever. Not a zoo, but He was eventually sold to some bullfighting arena group, but he's not a bullfighter. And eventually, he rescues all the other animals, and he escaped that bullfighting range to try to find his owner.
Okay, so it's kind of like the animated version of Gladiator with the Russell Crowe.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
Okay.
So it's from it's from Blue Sky, the same animation studios who made the Ice Age films.
They also did the Peanuts movie.
Oh yeah, did they? Okay,
Yep.
maybe. Okay. Well, Ice Age have been by far their most successful, and then their other films have been just kind of like modest successes. They make around 100 million, a little bit over that. So not in the Pixar or Illumination League or even DreamWorks League. But with the exception of their Ice Age films, which have done really well overseas.
Right. But domestically, their movies usually open between 30 to 60.
40, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but the average is around 40 something, right? 40 ish.
Yeah.
But those are with the more well-known properties, names like Ice Age and Dr. Seuss, Horn Hears a Who,
Yeah.
etc. But this one, Ferdinand, I don't think the awareness for this movie is that high, or the awareness of this book is that high that it's based on. So
Yeah.
I don't expect the numbers going to be huge, as well as it's opening opposite Star Wars.
Yeah.
So even if we say that it's going to average out on the lower end of 30 million, I think it's going to be even lower.
Yeah, it's going to be because Coco is still out there and it's still pulling in a crowd. So unless Ferdinand hits it out of the park, reviews wise, with people choosing between Star Wars and Coco, might be hard.
Right. So I think it's probably gonna maybe open up in the 20 to 25 million range.
Yeah, I'm with you there, probably on the lower end.
Right. That's it for Ferdinand. Don't have high expectations for this movie.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a budget, but we'll find that out later. Okay, so Star Wars, Last Jedi.
All right. Star Wars, The Last Jedi. I don't think we have any reviews online yet, but they had their premiere. They invited a bunch of critics, and their response have been enthusiastic, pretty high. Most of them are saying it's better than The Force Awakens, which was considered pretty good. But at the same time, this same crowd also said Justice League was better than expected, and eventually the reviews didn't turn out as well. So we'll see.
Right, but as we know, this is a Star Wars movie, and Star Wars, kind of critics proof,
How
right?
much did the Force Awakens open to?
The Force Awakens opened to 247 million.
Okay.
No, look, Star Wars survived George Lucas. Okay.
Yeah.
So that and the Force Awakens, the new movie, which is kind of a remake slash reboot of A New Hope, open to 247 million, right? 2 billion worldwide, and it is the third highest grossing movie of all time. This is the sequel to that, The Last Jedi.
Right. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna open as huge as the first film, but 200 and 220 is a pretty safe bet, right? Pretty much what the industry is predicting.
I really don't know, because I don't think it's gonna open to 247. Is it right?
Yeah.
Because the Force Awakens is pretty much hyped up. It's like the first movie without George Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
He's not involved.
Right.
A new take, kind of. Dialogues much improved.
Yeah. Pacing much improved too.
Right. And I guess even though it's and it has all these people returning, right? It has Harrison Ford. It has Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, R2,
Yeah, and
all the rest. So it has all these hype built into The Force Awakens. The Last Jedi is kind of like the other one. I mean, it doesn't have the benefit of that previous movie. right?
Yeah.
We kind of know about this, but we don't know what the story is about.
Mm-hmm.
So as you say, it's not going to open as high as 247.
Yeah,
So
but plus there's the other thing too. Carrie Fisher passed away during the making of the film, so there's that aspect of it too.
so you think it's gonna get a kind of like a Paul Walker bump?
Um, don't know. This is already so huge. This, I mean, 248 million is already such a huge figure. So I'm just gonna be conservative. I'll go with what's out there right now.
So 220.
220. Yeah.
Okay, you know what? Might as well, since we're getting the numbers are getting so ridiculous anyway.
Yeah.
So let me just get a number higher. So one of us will be right. So how about 235?
235.
Yeah.
Right.
But as we said, it could get a Carrie Fisher bump, right? Or Paul Walker bump, because a beloved cast member passed away, and this is her final movie.
Mm.
So we don't know how that will affect this one. It could get a bump of 10 to 20 million. Who knows, right? Depending on how beloved that character is, or that actor is.
Mm. Yeah. So we're both kind of like 220. Oh well, I'm 220. You're 235. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, it's still pretty close to 240, but I'm just putting in Carrie Fisher's death in there, taking into account. There's also kind of the next movie, right? That is not kind of a remake of the A New Hope, so hopefully you'll have a new storyline.
Yeah. So far, the word of mouth has been good.
Mm-hmm.
So far online.
Right. Mm-hmm. And this is Star Wars, right? And free from the shackle of George Lucas, and I think it can only be better.
Oh, wow.
Right? Because hey, look, Rogue One, a spin-off movie that is about the heist of the Death Star plans. It grows 155, open to 155 million and 532 million worldwide, I believe.
No, that's just domestic.
Oh, that's just domestic. Okay. Oh yeah, worldwide it made $1 billion. So
yeah.
All right.
All right. So we'll see how big the Last Jedi will be, and we'll see if Ferdinand can get an audience.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing to keep an eye for Star Wars is like, will it be bigger than The Force Awakens? Can it be bigger than The Force Awakens?
Yeah, it's tough though.
I have a sneaking feeling that it might get close, but I don't know. It could be as we said, the opening could be like low, like you said, 220, or kind of there with the first movie.
Mm.
All right, tune in next week.
All right, see you guys.